So it's beginning to look like this news that supposedly broke about Joe Biden having prostate cancer is just a way for the mainstream media to try to claw back some credibility that they lost during Joe Biden's term in office. They are reporting on it all over the news. You look at some of these interviews that have been done by MSNBC and CNN, and they are pretending like this is all new. They are pretending like this is like the craziest thing they've ever heard, as if we, the normal average American, the public, haven't been saying this for like 5 years. And it is incredible to watch how they are now trying to use it for their own ends. And yesterday I was talking about Joe Biden and his cancer diagnosis, and I was like, well, you know what? I was like, we've got to, if someone gets sick, you've got to show empathy to that person, or sympathy. You have to wish them the best, because that is what decent people do. But sometimes I forget that we are not dealing with anything in the realm of decent people. And I also said, you know, the timing of this is weird, just because it's right after his tapes were released. And this is during this whole time when the mainstream media, of course, is still suffering from not actually paying any attention whatsoever to Joe Biden and the fact that he was extremely cognitively impaired before the debate. And I said, you know, there is a possibility that the family is using this diagnosis strategically. And that's what I now believe it is. It's 100% strategic. It has nothing to do with the actual diagnosis. I now believe that he's had this, or they've known about this for years. There have been many doctors that have come out and said, hey, listen, this is not a type of cancer that you can just have and know about it for the past few weeks. This is something that you know about weeks, or not weeks, but months or years in advance. This is not something you just find out. And it's kind of funny because now we have CNN and MSNBC bringing on doctors and creating their own conspiracy theories about the White House and the White House doctors, saying that there's no way they could not have known this for a long time. And they're pretending as if they are now giving you a peek behind the curtain. And they are really breaking some crazy news, you know, going against the Biden administration, because we would never shill for the Biden administration. We would never lie for the Biden administration. And it's just remarkable, as well as this new book that has come out by Jake Tapper. And this one really grates on me, because Jake Tapper was one of the ones who was shilling for the Biden administration, refused to even acknowledge the fact that Joe Biden was basically dead, refused to say anything about the fact that he could basically walk or talk. He now has a book that talks about Joe Biden's decline, which he is shilling on CNN. And he actually got his good buddy Brian Stelter to try to sell this book.
It is now rippling through.
And it's really, guys, when you thought these people cannot go lower, they do. When they realize they lost the battle, what do? They pivot. Biden, it comes public that Biden actually has cancer, confirmed cancer, even though he did say years ago that he had cancer. But then the media said that was just a, misspeak. But now that he is confirmed to have cancer, they are using that as a way to try to gain credibility, to try to sell books. These people are absolutely shameless. But here is Brian Stelter, old potato head, Brian Stelter, shucking Jake Tapper's book on CNN, of all places. Yes. One of the biggest sources of disinformation on Joe Biden. He calls it bombshell. Take a look.
So on the day that story was breaking, Biden was facing this personal news. At least that's according to the statement from his personal spokesman. So you have that as one element of the timing here. And then you have, as you and Paul just acknowledged, this book coming out, one of the biggest political books in several years. Take out our colleague Jake Tapper for a second. This book, no matter where it was coming from, was going to be a very big blockbuster book.
Can you believe the absolute gall it takes for Brian Stelter to go on CNN and try to shuck Is that the right word? Shuck or shill? Jake Tapper's book, one of the biggest liars about Joe Biden ever. And what's really funny is another one of the biggest liars ever is Joe Scarboro. Yes, on MSNBC, remember, he goes, start the tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. And then he goes on to blast people for not believing that Joe Biden is sharp and cogent. He's sharper than he's ever been. He's now having doctors on his show talk about this diagnosis of cancer by Joe Biden and questioning whether or not the White House knew about this the entire time. This is an overt attempt of the mainstream media to try to win their credibility back, which I hope to God doesn't work. But of course, there are people out there that are just absolutely just dumb, and they will eat this slop right out of the trough. They'll eat any slop out of the trough that the mainstream media gives them, the pig slop trough. And that's what this is. This is like what happens. It's almost like a football play. Okay. People don't realize this. When they want to reframe something, they go to these major networks, say it's like a PR firm, and they talk to all these major networks to say, okay, this is our play. This is what we're going to do. We are going to release this information about Joe Biden having cancer. And, MSNBC, what you're going to do is you're going to have these doctors on. You're going to talk about whether or not the White House knew about X, Y, and Z. CNN, Jake Tapper, you're going to shill your book. And it's all a play. It's not actually breaking news. This is something that they knew about. And they strategized, how can we get back even the tiniest modicum of credibility? Well, we will report on Joe Biden's cancer, and we will question whether the White House knew about it the entire time, which, weirdly enough, doesn't even matter anymore because Joe Biden's no longer in office. It might matter to a very small degree. We're probably going to see headlines that question whether or not Biden actually had control of the auto pen. So that is like a degree where it could matter to in a very small way. But I don't think anybody actually believes that any of these pardons are going to be overturned because an auto pen was used. I would be very surprised if that actually happens. So they are trying to reframe this for the public to where the public thinks they did an about face, and now they are actually reporting on the truth. And that is false. This is a psyop just like any other psyop. But Joe Scarborough I believe it was two doctors here. He had this doctor that talks about prostate exams, and then he has this doctor that says that Biden definitely had cancer during his presidency in 2021. So this is MSNBC. You might think that's crazy, but that's just what they're trying to do here. Listen.
It's likely if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
So I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have
These people are shameless. These people are absolutely evil and shameless. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They're pretending like they're like, whoa, I can't believe that Joe Biden had cancer this entire time. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. When in reality, what they're trying to do, they just want to gain back some credibility because they know they have none. Who watches MSNBC anymore? Like 3 people? And they know why. They know why nobody watches them anymore. And here's another guy he had on his show talking about prostate cancer and the fact that Trump, Obama, and Bush all had accessible records that confirmed prostate exams. They were accessible. You could look at them. But Joe Biden did not have one. Weird. Imagine if we had a real media, real investigative journalists asking this question before Joe Biden left office. Imagine that. Instead, we're finding out about this after. Why? Because we don't have any real media. We have independent media, but these giant institutions, these media apparatuses, they are not doing their job. They have been taken over by other forces to try to propagandize the American people. That's all that's happened here. And we find about things after the fact, after there's an uproar. They decide, like, oh, you know what? The public's not really liking what we did. The public really doesn't like being lied to. So what we'll do is we'll concoct this random scenario where we report on something that the public was not happy about us lying about, and that'll placate the public as if we're stupid. It blows my mind that people actually fall for this stuff.
Going to run for president for another 4 years. Obviously, the PSA exam is not 100% accurate, and I've never met a doctor that doesn't say you needed to do the PSA exam and also have the physical exam as well. I just find it hard to believe that any White House physician wouldn't say, okay, well, what my doctor and what every other doctor says, which is, okay, we've done the PSA test and that's fine, but at least once a year, we need to do a physical exam. Again, if you're just talking about a 78-year-old guy that is not running the free world, that's one thing. But if you're a White House physician and you have any man.
Why weren't you saying this when Joe Biden was president? Joe Scarboro? He was one of the worst. He got physically upset over people talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And now he's sitting here acting as if he is just, he can't believe that the White House didn't have this in place, didn't have this physician in place, checking things out. It is all a total act and a scam. But that's enough of the mainstream media. I just cannot stand them. I think that they're just liars. All they do is manipulate. They have strategies. They have these plays that they go through to try to manipulate the American people, the public in general, so that they can either achieve a certain end, such as gain their credibility back, sell a book. It doesn't matter. It's not about the truth. It never was. But I think my favorite thing that came out of this whole Biden cancer thing was this right here. And this is from Congressman Sarah McBride. Yes, you heard that right. Congressman. She is the transgender, or he is the transgender congressman. Sometimes it's hard because when you say Sarah, you associate that with the man or a woman. So you say she. But she tweeted, and this is hilarious, "I'm heartbroken to learn of President Biden's diagnosis. President Biden has faced immense challenges through his life with resilience and grace. I know he'll face his battle with the same strength and dignity. My prayers are with him, Dr. Biden, and their entire family." And then this guy, Bad Hombre, on Twitter, he replied. He said, "Let this be a reminder. Routine prostate exams save lives. Make sure to schedule yours, Congressman." So, out of everything I saw on Joe Biden having cancer, this is the best thing that came out of it. That is such a slam to this transgender congressman. Absolutely insane. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Joe Biden in this cancer situation? What do you think about the mainstream media latching onto this and pretending like they are reporting on something absolutely groundbreaking? Is it just disgusting or what? It's totally disgusting. Jake Tapper selling a book. You have Joe Scarboro all of a sudden coming up with his own conspiracy theories about the White House keeping information from the public, or really them. So that's their excuse now. They're blaming the White House for not telling them or giving them an inside look at what was going on, of what was really going on. And see, that's the funny part, because like, you could see it with your own eyes. You didn't have to have the White House tell you. If you have a brain, you have eyes, you could see what was going on with Joe Biden. And that's what they're trying to manipulate to the public right now. They are counting on the public having some sort of cognitive dissonance over what the media said back then and what they are saying now. They are counting on that from the public. And you know what? There is going to be a large amount of people who actually fall for the BS. because, you know, they sit up there in their ivory towers on their TVs in their suits, and they talk very, you know, official, and they talk to official people, and they sound all professional. And that does something to a person. That does something to a certain type of person where they, you know, they trust the experts. They believe, you know, that this is actually how things are going, because how could someone on TV lie to me? They have this certain tone of voice. They're wearing a suit. They occupied a really high government position. So they could ever fathom that these people are just lying to their faces. Even when they see it right before their eyes, this about face from just less than a year ago, talking about Joe Biden. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.